Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another recap of Tyler Perry's Sistas season 9, episode 7, Cutting Tides. So let's just say this episode was crazy, but it was definitely needed for the most part for some people. So after Andy and what was it Benson, they got into it. She gets a phone call and it happens to be Dr. Vaughn, or in this case, Reginald. And he basically chopping it up, talking to her like how he can't get her off his mind, like that song that keeps playing in a loop, and you can't get it off your mind to actually just sit there and listen to it. So that's the type of vibe he's giving with her. So she was like, okay. So Reginald, he was like, well, she was like, well, in that case, you can call me Andy. He was like, well, Andy, well, how about we get coffee sometime during the week. She was like, well, maybe we could have drinks tonight. It's been a long week. Okay, but you just met that man. Like you could at least, you know, push something in for like the next couple of days. But girl, you thirsty like that? But anyways, she was like, all right, cool. I'll meet up later after I go handle this. I'll meet up with Karen. He was like, well, how is Karen? She was like, well, she's as good as she can be. It's expected right now. I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. So after that, Fatima walks into the conference room. She sees Hayden talking to Chaz, and she was just like, but you could tell Chaz was looking up at Fatima like, get me out of this situation. So she like kind of played into him and was like, cool, don't you got another meeting you're gonna go to? He was like, yeah, I do. Like, cool. So she ended up walking him out. Hayden talking about, yeah, we boys, we're friends, I'll hit you up, you got my number. So they're like, yeah, whatever. So she walks into the lobby, and he was like, yeah, thanks for that, I will be getting more in touch with you and stuff like that. So by this time, Tamara walks in, and she was like, ooh, she rubbed him on like Chaz Duncan, like, girl, let go of this man. So she ends up giving him his number, and then she walked to the back to see where Hayden's at. And Fatima snatched it out his hand and was like, listen, you don't want none of that. She got problems. Nope. Nope. I'm just telling you, next time I see you, run. Like, she's too good. Just run. It was like, thank you, Miss Wilson. She was like, you can call me Fatima. He's like, all right, Fatima, thank you for that. And then he leaves off. So by this time, Zach done pulled up to Karen's place. She lets him in. He says hi to Aaron. They dap it up or whatever. Then Aaron goes to the bathroom while they talk a little bit. By this time, he was like, "How are you?" And he was just like, he really couldn't say what was on his mind because I know how you felt, because when Fatima was telling him that, he was just like, "I'm okay," but she was just like, "Yeah, I already know how I feel, but how you feel is probably 10 times worse." So he asked to pick up Baby Faith, and he was like to her, "Do you feel as if?" She can sense that her sister's not here with us. Like they pick up on. Of course, she could pick up on. That's probably why she be fussing all the time, and ain't really nothing wrong. She just probably misses being with her sister, because that's all she known for like the past 9 months or so. In our case, like past 3 years. But anyways, that's just what she probably sensing. Like she could sense that, and then she probably also know that she hear her mama's voice, but her mama's going through some things too. So it's probably like it's a little uneasy, but at the same time, whatever. It gets like that. So he picks up Baby Faith and was like, "Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful, Karen. She's so beautiful, Karen." Like, oh, it was a moment that, like, even he noticed, even though he's going through some things. It's just like, okay. So after that, Aaron comes in, takes the baby, and he asks, "Was everything good?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm cool. Whatever. We'll be in the room if you need us or whatever." So he goes in the room with Baby Faith, and everything calms down. So he was like, "So now that I'm here, let's have a real conversation." So they basically talked about their ups and downs, the trials and tribulations of being together. I honestly don't think he ever loved her like that, because when they played back them throwback scenes, it didn't show that much love and compassion. It basically showed them fighting and them having sex. That's all it showed. Like, where was the love at? Like, make it make sense. So after that, they had a little bonding, whatever the case may be. And he was like, I know you're ready to get rid of me." She was like, "Look at you putting words in my mouth." And she said like the same thing. He was like, "Look at you putting words in my mouth." So he was about to dap her up to like let her go, but they ended up hugging it out. They cried a little bit, and I guess that's what was needed. That bonding closure to put things at ease. And he also rectified some things. Like, granted, I know you're going through some things, you're grieving, but your daughter needs you. You still have one that's like wanting your her needs being met by you because you're her mother. You can't like neglect all responsibilities of being a parent because of a traumatic loss. You still have others that you got to provide for. So that you got to suck it up, put on your big girl panties, and take it one day at a time, because you also still got Aaron there to help you. You got your mom there to help you, and we got us. It takes a village. Nobody said it was gonna be easy. Like, nobody said it's one. Put your best foot forward. Take it one step at a time. So they had a good conversation about that. She also let him know that she's gonna make it work with Aaron, put their little family together and see how that goes. And Aaron, you hear on the baby monitor like, yeah, this is all I ever wanted in his mind. But it's like, okay, cool. Let me put this monitor down to my baby. So after that, next thing you know, um while Andy was getting ready to leave, she ended up going into the conference room, and Fatima was being upfront and honest with her, like, listen, some of these, well, but help with the other guy, K Dub, Miss Marie's godson. He referred me to some more clients, and she was just like, all I heard was about one. She was being shady with that. She was like, so what are you doing? She was like, I'm just looking up a contract because you know how these young balls could be. They say they got money, but they end up not having no money. She was like, all right, that's cool. So that'd be good practice for whenever you actually finally pass the bar. What the heck was that shade for? As many times as Fatima's been there for you, not just you, but you and the sister circle, you gonna shade her like that? And then on top of that, you gonna lie to her. And she was like, I'm about to go home because these cramps is killing me. Andy's really going through it, but she ain't really had to lie to that girl. Fatima know her like that. So she was like, I also gotta talk to Dr. Vaughn about something going on with this the hospital with her case. She's like, well, how did that go? Because I know I've been peeping at you. She was like, no, I gotta talk to him. And when I talk to him, I'm about to go home because I got cramps. She was like, luckily you. She said, I would like to go for a drink, but she was like, nah. She basically shaded Fatima twice, like, make it make sense. She's been there for you since everything. Like, let's not forget, had it not been for her telling Zach to go check up on you, where would you have been at? Yeah, the shade was so uncalled for, and that, like, you can tell Fatima peeped it. And then when she left, she was just like, how could she? Like, how could she? Yeah, Fatima, how could Andy do or say such a thing? Like, there was no need for that shade. You could have been like, all right, cool. That's just extra practice for you. That's all you could have said, and just left it like that. Not when you actually passed the bar. Who said she didn't pass the bar? She just didn't tell you. Like, make it make sense. So, after that, Fatima packs up. She ends up going downstairs to get in her car to leave. Just so happens, Tamara pulls up. She was like, yeah, I actually ended things with Hayden. She could care less. She basically apologized to Fatima for all the hate and stuff she been giving her. She's like, cool. So I also follow my business. She basically does wigs, whatever. She's like, cool, but actually, I could care less about that. And then she gets in her car and leave. Then yeah, after that, Danny and Andy pull up at Karen's place with flowers and gumbo. They said Aaron looks good, and whatever the case may be. It was like, yeah, she's really not in that good headspace, but at the same time, she's been great because she's been talking to Zach, and that seemed to be the closure that she needed to help be more beneficial to her. They were like, cool, that's cool. They also thought that she was taking a nap, but she was just up at her room, just having her thoughts reflected, and whatever the case may be. So Aaron goes to tell her that her girls are there, and they was like, cool. So she goes out there. That she ended up making her some gumbo. Andy does the flowers or whatever the case may be, and they just sitting there talking. And Danny is trying to get Karen to eat this gumbo. She was like, "It's cool." She's like, "How could you? How could I tell?" With the way you nitpicking at the food, she was like, "All right, cool, whatever." So then they wanted to talk about what's going on in everybody's lives. They're like, "I don't want to talk about that now." And he was like, "She don't want to talk about that now." And then she ended up getting the call that happens to be Reginald. And yeah, so I got an urgent meeting. And Danny was like, yeah, at this time, yeah, yeah, So Danny stayed. They left. Andy left. So Danny was just like, we're gonna do something. If you don't want to eat, we're gonna do something. So basically, she ended up getting her to make her take a shower. Karen was like, "You gonna come watch me?" She was like, No, you can wash your own booty by yourself, or I can let Eric come in here and do it." And then she went and finally got. Thank you, Danny. That was like the best scene besides Karen and Zach talking that I really enjoyed out this episode. I was just like, yeah, my girl, she's blunt, but she gonna make things happen for you. Okay, you might not like to hear it, but it's gonna happen. So she does that, and I was just like, all smiles. Meanwhile, we got Maurice and Paige hooking Sabrina up on a date. She went through a couple of guys. Some of them were duds. One person's breath stunk so bad that they could probably smell it all the way across the room. She tried to give the guy some mint. He wasn't taking heed to it. And it was like, for, Maurice was like, you needed to like scrape your whole esophagus. And then you always see him as he's eating the kid. Like he got some bad case of halitosis. And they was like, oh my god, and he got grills. You know, when guys grill grills, that stuff seems to seep in through your gum line and make your mouth stink more than what it is. And that's just probably what the case was. But we gonna see. Eventually, they went through the list of duds that she met up with, and it was just like, nah. Then at the end, her pocketbook dropped. She had to also go to the bathroom, but then Maurice said made her like kind of scared, so she had to try to bend down and get her pocketbook. But just so happened, some guy walked in named Frank Beverly or whatever the case, and he was like, "Oh, nice to meet you." Then you got Maurice was like, "Oh my God, he's feeling her. Hopefully, she's feeling him." And so that just so happens you got Dr. Vaughn in the back waiting on Andy to get there. Let me find out everybody's gonna be at Billy Jake's. Okay. Next thing you know, in walks Rich, and let's just say he was like, "What the f is this, Sabrina? Why does it matter? She broke up with you. Like, let her be." Like, it's funny how when she does stuff, it's a problem, but when you did it, it was like, okay, whatever. She didn't stalk you. She ain't do nothing. Once she found out you was messing with Penelope, she nipped that in the bud. You kept coming to where she was at, so it's like, let it be. Like, it is what it is. Like, let kick rocks for all I care. Like, there he go trying to make another scene at this point. We're gonna see what happens in Billy Jake's next week, cause whew, that was piping hot. Yeah, that's basically it this episode. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. See y'all in the next one. All right. Bye.